Guys, what, was a little bit shorter than I thought it might be. Alright, that's always good to see. In the top left side, we got ourselves a Terran in the yellow. Special. Representing Storm Gaming. Bottom left side, right side. There we go, that's back to elementary school. It's the Blue Zerg. ELAZER. It's a good thing there's no, like, benevolent actual King of Battles watching, you know? That's like, off with his head. As soon as you mispronounce something on stream. That'd be terrifying. That'd be terrifying. It's probably how it would have gone, right, if we had esports in medieval time. Probably how it would have went. Lucky me, it's not the case anymore. Special versus ELAZER. I think, personally, a very cool matchup. Two players very closely tied up against one another. Very close in skill level indeed. And both of them have those moments where they just suddenly show up for a tournament. And perhaps, right, maybe the victory over their opponents here could start building up that momentum which they seek to, you know, get that run going. Start gaining that more and more confidence about your run in the tournament. Get a more and more positive mindset about the situation, and I feel like that's when sometimes, you know, magic happens. Exactly. Medieval 1v1. It's not just the people playing at that point, right? It's also the commentator. Say the wrong thing. Oof. Well, only if you say the wrong thing about the king, to be fair. Which in this case would be Maru. And in this case, you know, he doesn't understand most of what I'm saying. So, got that working out for me. Inu, the Korean streamer, though, he might be in trouble. He might be in trouble. Great micro there from ELAZER. Not losing a single drone there. Nice... Nice control. Level-headed as well. I mean, I would have made spore crawlers like 3 of them. But no, he didn't even waste that money. Keeps everything alive. Maru, 2-time champion now, isn't he? It's pretty cool. I mean, I'm secretly hoping... Right? I think it would be pretty sick if we get another one of those magical Maru, just championship after championship after championships, you know? But then King of Battles, rather than the GSL. And then we could say, like, we're the new GSL for for Maru in particular. Yeah, the competition is getting more and more fierce. The more people that are qualifying, the more terrified I am. Special going for a couple of these Hellions with the Reaper, the early game harassment units, and he's starting up quite a bit of Liberator production. I think that's already a second Liberator on the production tabs. A couple of Zerglings and Kings trying to maintain a foothold here, but the Hellions do manage to get that way onto those drones, and now 6 of them already going down, a couple more still be up for grabs. Ooh, quicks around 8 of them in total. Coming in quick with those Hellions. Hot and speedy. And then afterwards, the Liberators. He's got a tech lab on that starport? Did I not see that correctly? He's got a tech lab on this. Right? I must have missed that. My apologies. In advance. Why are you building Liberators one at a time when you want 2 of them? Maybe it's the build, who knows? It must be, right? No, there is a tech lab on there. Alright, fair enough. Now he's going to be able to switch over. guess it just works out that way, right? Especially someone who is very, very thorough with these types of things normally, so I would imagine it's just the way he found that it works best. Liberator number 1 in the natural, Liberator number 2 heading towards the main base right now, which is pretty exposed actually. Multi-pronged harassment with the Hellbats, as well as a good amount of Marines now coming in from this angle. And you know what? You put your tag lab on whatever the hell you want, Special, because this is looking pretty good for you. Getting all those queens right now, moving on the other side, and ELAZER, he realizes that's too much for me. GG. It would be cool to see something similar here again from Special. Liberator Resurgence is something I'm all for. CC first, yeah, it looks like it. It looks like a CC first. What a lad. He's playing against the ELAZER. Yeah, I wouldn't anticipate ELAZER to go like one base circlings either. Or like proxy hatch, right? He might. I think I would put my money on ELAZER not doing something like that if I'd have to. Which is something what Special is kind of doing here, right? Going CC first. Third base for ELAZER. Nice and early, 2 minute 30. Allows you to still get those 2 initial queens as well. Quite early on. Just scouting around. ELAZER really on top of his scouting here. Doesn't want to get blindsided. Okay, finds the transfer there. Always good to see the factory moving towards the reactor. At least you know then, okay, so it is going to be Hellions. You always anticipate Hellions, but the game of StarCraft, you can never just assume. Assumptions are the thing that kill you. Quite often, at least in my experience, whenever I'm like, oh, he's doing this, and then it's just like, if I'm not certain he will, and I just assume he will, suddenly there's 3 barracks somewhere producing units, and Marines running instead of Hellions. Okay. Not too much happening there, just quite yet. BCs? Why are we talking about BCs? Is this a BC build, guys? Could become one. Special, someone I do know for is BCUs. Wasn't it him versus, was it Serral? One time, that was a very sick game, I remember. I remember it being special in a TVZ, but with all the battle cruisers flying around everywhere. Didn't go his way, but man, it was glorious. A long time ago as well. Is the background music on? It should be, yeah. Guess I could lower my own volume a little bit, if that would help. And you can just up your own volume overall. Please let me know if something like that is required, and we'll be able to update it quite quickly. +1/+1 here for Special, coming in pretty nice and early in comparison to the Evo chambers of ELAZER. Definitely a timing push potential being formed. Special already getting the 2 medevacs across the map though, of course. Can't just let the Zerg sit idly by, pretty making those drones. No sir, that is going to be way too much macro for you. Even with a CC first. I'm not seeing a 3rd CC actually from Special, so... Right. Ooh, Aliens got a full surround. Able to be picked up there by the medevac, unfortunately. So ELAZER handles that situation with quite a bit of finesse. Or even sure if they manage to kill a creep too, man. Well, now they might. They kill 2 queens. Keeps this creep alive. Creep is important if you want to go for these types of timing pushes. Like this attack from Special, it's not supposed to deal massive damage. It's just supposed to kind of clear the way, take out a bit of the queens, right? Take off a bit of their transfuse energy, get rid of the creep. And you're going to be able to set up a bit nicer. Oh, that is a very unfortunate moment there for ELAZER. Hidden inside of the smoke were those Marines. A lot of his Zerglings trying to go for a wraparound or maybe an attack or interfering with the reinforcements there. Couldn't quite make their way over because of it. Now 2 siege tanks set up on his front yard. As ELAZER tries to spread out as much as possible here, coming in from multiple angles. Hopefully quite well synchronized. Not as much on the right side as is on the left side, but there is plenty for ELAZER to clean this up. Special's timing attack. Couldn't quite make it work. And the +1/+1 did not actually finish right when ELAZER attacked for ELAZER. Because right now he's starting up his +2/+2. He's doing that, but for Special. Special still not seeing any marks of a 3rd base. If you're not planning to go for a 3rd base, no SCV pools are uncommon against Zerglings because of the Banelings, but it'd still be preferable to have your SCVs explode over the Marines here if you're fully committed to a 2-base attack, right? He's backing up again. ELAZER so far now on, well, that is 5 bases. This is really worrying me for Special. It's not going to be too long before, well, ELAZER is just going to be max supply here. He's just going to outgrow Special. Special still finding some really good trades, though, on some of these parts of the map. Getting big clusters of Zerglings like that is very nice for him. Liberator in trouble, manages to move himself around to the other base. Less drones, but you know what? Less spore crawlers as well. It's a give and take relationship. Okay, Special, this could be, well, 91 army supply versus 91. Some Zerglings here on this wraparound. This could be a good engagement here for Special. He could try to make it work here. He's got to be careful of those nasty little green explosive bugs that are going to try to roll right on top of all of his infantry. He's got a good set of siege tanks there. He's trying to lure out those Banelings. There we go. That's a reasonable chunk of them chasing now. That gives him the confidence to start setting up a little bit further ahead. Needs to make it work. ELAZER dwindling on the supply now. The Zergling Baneling composition really not trading as efficiently as it should. Oh wait, did I speak too soon? Looks like I spoke too soon. I spoke way too soon. I spoke so much too soon that I mean. I should have waited until tomorrow. That is... Alright, well, GG. Bottom left side, a goo, a blue, a ELAZER. So close. Top right side, yellow Terran, System Gaming. Special. Yeah. Just, he traded well against the Zerglings, but the Banelings really could not manage to rid those enough before they hit his marine line over and over again. It is such an incredibly hard, intuitive thing to do for a Terran, and I'm always like with a jaw on the ground whenever I see a Terran do it just absolutely perfectly, because then it just looks so incredible when it happens, right? All the Marines just spread out. You see still a clump of Marines somewhere, you know, to get that extra DPS, but they realize if I keep them here, I keep them shooting, I'll be able to shoot down all the Banelings now before they reach. And yeah, it's a rough thing to do, man. It is a very rough thing to do. If you've never played Terran, try it out. Find yourself a custom map or something with the Baneling split in the title, and good luck. Good luck. Alright, Special this time around has that barracks as well as a gas up before he goes for the command center on the low ground. A laser. Playing it regular on his own field. Keeps the Overlord back, of course. You want to make sure you see that SCV either enter or leave your natural base as well. In case there's a bunker coming up, you want to be able to see that as soon as possible. I can kind of leave that area now, though, of course, with the Overlord. Want to try to set up for later in time where the Hellions might be running around one layer deeper on the field, trying to avoid your queens. Oh, hello. SCV, meet Zergling. Zergling, meet Marines. He doesn't like Marines. Maybe the Marines don't like the Zergling. Maybe the feeling is mutual. Either way, Bulletsworks changed. Zergling yet lives. His twin brother found his way to the Terran base and sees what's happening over there. Reactor factory. There's a tech lab being produced, the starport not too far away being produced as well, so that could still fly over there. Maybe something you have to take into consideration, and wow. Special, building a bunker here, a little bit unfortunate that it is right underneath the nose of an Overlord. The Zerg equivalent of a nose. That's just not gonna work. Is it? Oh, he's Hellions. He has Hellions here now with the 3 Marines. No, this is not going to work. There's 3 Queens there. Ridiculous. Who thought that would ever work? Okay, starports did go on top of that tech lab, but going for a Raven. Not something you see all too often in the TVZ matchup. Bringing that out as one of the first units. Or even the later down the line units. But it is quite a useful tool nonetheless. We've seen some experimenting with it. Especially from Innovation right before he kind of headed off for his military duties. The idea for him was to utilize this Raven in combination with the Hellions, and that way you save out on all the scanning that you would have to do, and that just gives you more mules. Which is a nice thing. The gas that you spend on the Raven, usually not the most important resource for Terran anyway, in the early to mid to almost late game. Very end late game, well... It's kind of changed now, I suppose. People trying to get into that siege tank ghost army. Hellions here, not finding much either. Queens and Zerglings in a very good position. The Ravens still 0 kills. Having a rough day at work. Utilizing the Raven here for harassment is an interesting thing, right? Definitely is. Guys, looking at it, what is ELAZER gonna do against that Raven? Up until when he has a Spire, right? Because that Raven is just gonna sit there in the dead space. It's gonna keep throwing down auto turrets every time it has the energy again. You could have some queens on the side, poke at it every time it tries to come in, right? And slowly over time, perhaps you're gonna be able to get it. This is just frustrating. Another Raven on the right side. Okay. Special, showing us the way, perhaps. You shouldn't go Banshee, guys. You go Raven. Of course. Of course. It's an interesting way of approaching this, really. Oh, good set. And this is another drone. It's not massive drone damage, is it? It's frustrating, though, I imagine, for ELAZER to have to deal with. That on its own could sometimes be enough. Then again, it probably takes up quite a bit of your micro and macro potential elsewhere as well. You having to control these Ravens endlessly. Starting to move them backwards. Still invest in scans for killing creep tumors, even though he has 2 Ravens. It's kind of a funny thing. Makes sense since they weren't there, but it's funny to see. Alright. ELAZER 76 army supply spiking up quite rapidly now as the Roach production has kicked off into high gear. Special will try to maintain a foothold on his 3rd base with a singular siege tank as well as those 2 Ravens here. What kind of abilities would you use with those Ravens right now? I'm not even sure. Anti-armor missile, probably one of the best things you could do against this army, right? Especially considering most of your stuff is those Marines. Anti-armor missile increases the damage for Marines just by such an enormous amount. And I'm wondering if that on its own could do quite well against these Roaches. There it is. Okay. Gets it on the right flank. ELAZER. Nice shimmy with his units to the right as he makes his escape there. Realizing that that anti-armor missile could potentially cost him quite dearly. Just doesn't look for the fight for the time being. 2 Ravens just parked on top of this army is quite frustrating now for ELAZER as well. Those 2 Ravens, they're adding a lot for Special in this play. They really are. If they were Banshees, they might have been able to do more. It might have been it. Well, actually, would Would 2 Banshees provide as much protection there as the 2 Ravens did with the anti-armor missile? I don't know. You have like 2 Ravens and 2 Banshees. That's both best worlds. A little bit of a peculiar drop, not going to find itself too much there, and the Ravens are out of energy now, kind of a weakness about them, I suppose. But Bio seemingly still enough, losing a lot of his medevacs due to the biles from the Ravagers, though. A little bit unnecessary, perhaps, but unfortunately that is what happens. So those medevacs are going to have to be recreated. Little medevac drop here, still finding some positivity for Special. He denies one of those extra bases ELAZER is trying to set up. The Bioforces for Special so incredibly low HP right now. As we mentioned, those medevacs were targeted down. Having a rough time maintaining the front line right now. Doesn't have the sustainability to keep poking in and out. Another bit of a drop going on the bottom. No, that's the Ravens again. A bit of a callback. Remember me? It's 5 drones. Probably didn't want to try to find a little bit more there. Really do substantial damage. Special's Bioforce is seemingly starting to get more than comfortable with the Roach Ravager army here. On their own, even without the anti-armor missile. Starting to do pretty well for themselves. Oh, this is fancy stuff. Laser realizing that Zergen got scouted, so sending a couple of roaches over, making it even more difficult for Special to start landing this 4th CC, which Special quite desperately would like to have happen sooner rather than later. It's been a while since he's managed to get an expansion going, as Laser here just gobbling up the map once again. Taking base after base on his own pace without much consideration of how that makes Special feel about how many bases he has. Biles, are they going to land enough? They will. Together with the Hydralisk as well, adding a bit of extra DPS from behind the Roach line. Planetary Fortress, though, it's still way too much for you to engage. Now the Siege Tanks, actually, the Siege Tanks a bit exposed. Might be able to lose 3 of them, lose 2 of them. The other one retreats quite quickly. Both the Roaches and Ravagers low HP, so Laser decides to back out. Try to come at him once again, once he has 200 supply. Kinda reminds me of the game Stefano used to play. Just a whole lot of roaches, but we got Lurkers. Lurkers coming in as the follow-up. A bit of a Dark style, but Dark would very defensive with his roaches, as a Laser doesn't seem too shy about trying to take the fight now and again. So once again, he is at this pocket 3rd base for Special, and he's putting the hurt on it quite heavily so. Those Lurkers can't really be responded to, as Laser manages to find a victory in game number 3 as well, making it a 2-1 victory for him. Congratulations.